Go. Go.
Oh, you said go?
Yeah.
Thank you. Hey guys, Chuck Gonzales here again. I'll give you a few tips and strategies for 14.3 that I did today. So hopefully you guys will do. What smells? What are you looking at?
The cord, I just realized.
Hopefully you guys will do better than me. So let's talk about the movements. It's ascending in the reps and the weights of the deadlift, right? That's a little bit tough on the back. If you see me walking around here a little funky, it's one of the reasons why. And then you got box jumps. So a little bit different than in the coaching guidelines where if you took the CrossFit coaching test, you had to leave the ground. You can be louder. It's okay, Janelle. The more noise, the better in the background. In the video, you had to leave the ground with both feet at once, indicating that you needed to box jump. It's part of the coach's judging video online. But in this one, you have the option of stepping up. So let's start off first. Right over here, this is how I set up my execution pattern for the deadlifts. And I have, first started out with the RX weight, and then each time that I went up, I would just simply put on the corresponding weights here. Now, remember that if you guys are competing in the regionals, remember a couple of things. You need to video your tapes, so be sure to video your weight. Be sure to video the weights that you're using, and be sure to remember to use a measuring tape and measure the height of your box. Really important. So this is the strategy that I used right here. As far as the deadlifts went, when I set up for my deads, even at my set of 135, I didn't need it, but I used a weightlifting belt, and I really like this thing. I don't need a weightlifting belt. You guys probably don't need a weightlifting belt for 135 pounds that you can knock out, 50, 60 reps of. But what I'm just doing here is I'm trying to save time of putting on the weight belt later. So I just have it here. I'm not super braced like I would if I was going through a one-arm back squat here. But on these first few sets, I just have it here nice and relaxed along my midsection. And some people have never used a weightlifting belt before. And a question that I often get asked by my athletes here is it considered cheating? Absolutely not. The purpose of the weightlifting belt is just to help increase your inner abdominal pressure, and that's going to help stabilize your spine during the lift. Is it a performance, enhancer? I don't think so. I think it's going to keep you safe, especially with this number of reps and just the total volume of these deadlifts that you have to do. Don't be afraid to use this thing. They're great. Time! It's my cue. I also didn't want to scrape up my shins on the deadlift, so I wore my handy-dandy little CrossFit Hillsboro socks, and those were great. The shoes that I lifted in, this particular wad, again, I like to lift in the Nimbus with the Vibrant Soul Zero Drops. I've torn these things up pretty doggone good over the last year and a half or so that I've had them, but I like it. They're zero drop. I'm not going to do this wad with my weightlifting shoe. I hate being in those things. They're not comfortable. I don't feel like I can do too much in them. So this was comfortable for me. Now on the deadlifts here, last year in the CrossFit Open we had that CrossFit 13.1 where there were deadlifts in there, and I remember Kelly Starr. He made a good point. It was kind of interesting. I hadn't heard it coached before, but it was more of hip extension going to the horizontal plane. I didn't use that this year. So what Coach Kelly, the great coach, suggested, as that bar gets up here, he's talking about shoving hips forward into full extension. I didn't quite use that. I didn't have as much knee flexion. I felt it more, I focused more on hip flexion here. A lot of hip flexion and minimal knee, and that's just the way that I do my deadlift. So if you watch, as soon as you guys start out, I want your foot directly underneath the barbell, the middle of your foot on the barbell. Sometimes when people were starting, they were starting with like their big toe underneath the barbell, and that's not where I want you to start. That's like the position of your snatch. The position of your deadlift, I'm going to put the middle of the foot under the barbell here. So right when your coach is yelling 3, 2, 1, go, you want to be already set up. You can't grab the steel until the timer goes off, but you want the middle of the foot directly underneath the barbell. And I like to use alternating grip. I'm not going to use any gloves or anything for this wad. And full extension. I'm going to get this first 10 fully unbroken. You guys can get them unbroken too. Over to the box jumps. I'm not going to demonstrate a box jump. You guys know how to box jump. But what is interesting is, remember last year, the big controversy that was going around of if you should jump up on the box or should you be allowed to step up. I jumped as long as I could. I think I jumped until I got into these sets of 25, and then I had to start stepping. And what I've seen a few people doing is step up, step down, step up, step down. Some of our moms did that this morning. They got a good score. Let's see, what did Kim get? Kim got 106, all stepping. Step up, up, down, down, up, down, down. Jeannie and Ashley both got scores of 90. Pretty respectable scores, and that's just with stepping. Another one that I think you're going to do really well on is step up, jump down. Step up, jump down. I like to use, and I coach my athletes a lot about the stretch shortening cycle. Your muscles work like this. There's lengthening and shortening or contraction. And right in here, when your muscles lengthen out, they lengthen. I stretch out those hamstrings. They're going to contract. All the muscles and the tendons, the Golgi tendon organs, the GTOs, and what's the other muscle? The muscle spindles. You know what the muscle spindles are, right? Those things, they're going to stretch. And when they're put on stretch, they want to contract. And that's called the stretch shortening cycle. So those work somewhat. They're usually meant to be trained for a plyometric, not really on a deadlift. But there still is some stretch in your deadlift. So you want to kind of treat this as, an explosive lift up, up, up. You load up that muscle as you release, eccentrically release down to the floor. You load up that muscle and then you unload as fast as possible. And you're going to do the same thing on the box jump. If you're going to jump up, jump down, or whatever, every time you get back up on the box into that explosion, that stretch shortening cycle, if you're jumping. If you step up and jump down, you want to alternate sides. I like to alternate my sides that I come up on with every time. Right, down, left, down, right, down, left, down. But it's entirely up to you of what you guys think is appropriate. I have the collars right here. Let's go back to the weights real quick on the deadlift. See where my collars are? I have on these 10-pounders. I'm not using my collars on the first few sets of weights right here. I don't really want to spend time putting the collar on and taking the collar off. And you'll notice that besides the 25-pounder, this is not actually the 25-pounder that I wanted to use. For this demonstration, it's not what I used. I used my iron grip 25-pound plates. And the reason I like these guys and my metal plates is because this is slide right on there real quick. Not everybody might have these. Not everybody might have the 10-pound plates either. Because these guys, simple, pick them both up, slide them right on, and you're finished, and you're not wasting any time changing your weights out. Now here's my little trick that I like to coach athletes on. You get, we have our little 1-pounders right here. You get your little 1-pound plate, or a 2.5 will work, something like that. If you don't have easy sliding plates like this, you're going to want to put this guy underneath real quick. And I already have this set up. So right when I had my athletes going, some of them did this. They just put their 1-pound plate right there, picked it up, rolled it, put it on, boom. Same thing on the other side. So you're just trying to minimize the amount of time. You want a good transition game, just like in any other sport. You want a good transition game. Sub out when you have to sub out, or when you're changing your weights as you're subbing. You want that transition time to be really quick. That's all about the information that I got for you guys. You're just going to have to burn through this for 8 minutes. Keep in mind your heart rate. I really wanted a heart rate monitor. I didn't have one though. And I think my heart rate probably, I felt like I got up to about 170 beats per minute, maybe 160. I could kind of feel it. I wanted to keep it down a little bit lower than that. And I think that if you can master the box jump, if you're good at box jumps, or you figure out a good strategy on the box jumps, you're going to be able to save yourself a lot of energy. The deadlifts are just going to suck. They get heavier and heavier and heavier. I only got 7 deadlifts on the 315. I think I was a little bit too tapped out though for energy. So if I do it again, I might change my strategy a bit on the boxes. So anyway, that's it. Hope it helps. Put some feedback and post your numbers on the video here. I'd appreciate to hear what your numbers are after this. You guys get done with this. All right. Take care.